Hello and welcome to our first class in our course Building a Foundation and Culture of Innovation. Today in our first class we will deal with the important topic of what is innovation. The goals of today's class are to introduce you to the course's working definition of innovation and to introduce you to the different theories regarding the sources of innovation. Before we begin, please take a note or open a document on your PC and write down an idea you have. It can be an idea relevant to your personal or professional life. It can be an idea you heard or read about, and an idea you even invented by yourself. Please write it down and describe it in a few sentences. We will get back to this idea at the end of the class. Great, let's continue. The question, what is innovation, sounds like a very simple and straightforward question, right? So I Googled it and, like you can see here, there are endless results. This probably means that there are many people asking the same question and many people, maybe even more, trying to answer it. In order for us to have a unified definition of innovation throughout this course, we're going to introduce you to SIT's definition of this term, and this will be from now on our working definition term for innovation. The starting point of innovation is in the minds of people. Our metaphor for the way our brain works is a search engine, just like Google, which was mentioned earlier. In order for us to deliberately trigger our minds to deliver innovative ideas, we need to understand how this search engine works, namely, how humans make sense of the world, how they make decisions, and how they solve problems. We also need to know what are the limitations of our search engines and how we might overcome these limitations in a methodical way. We will be elaborating about this aspect of our thinking in our upcoming class dealing with cognitive fixedness. So, as you can see, the first component of our definition for innovation is thinking. Let's move to the next component. With regard to our second component for the definition of innovation, I'd like to introduce you to something that was published lately by IBM. They conducted a survey which included, 1,700 CEOs from multiple geographies and multiple industries. And the quotation you see now on the slide represents many CEOs' concern with their organization's ability to act upon new ideas. And so, sometimes it's not the lack of ideas that troubles organizations, it's actually translating these ideas into action plans. So we are going to add to our definition of innovation the word acting, meaning we are going to put emphasis on translating ideas which exist in people's minds into actions, into work plans, and into implementation processes. The third component of our definition focuses on the need for these ideas to be unique in some way, to stand out, to be differentiated, to be different. On this slide, you can see what is generally known as the Newness map. It is comprised of two axes and creates 4 quadrants. The horizontal axis focuses on the question, how new is your idea to your organization? And the vertical axis focuses on the question, how new is your idea to the world, to your market? Let's see what these 4 quadrants are. On the bottom left-hand side, we have ideas that are neither new to you or to your market. These ideas are going to be called incremental ideas. On the right-hand side, the bottom right-hand side, we have ideas which are new to you but are not new to your market. These ideas are generally known as Me Too ideas. On the top left-hand side, we have ideas which are new to the market but not new to you. These are called semi-radical ideas. In the fourth and last quadrant on the top right-hand side, we find ideas which are both new to you and to your market. These are radical ideas. They're breakthrough ideas. They're new to the world, they're new to your category, and have never been done before. Now, please don't get the wrong impression that the only quadrant that counts is the one with the radical ideas. In reality, companies design an innovation strategy which is composed of all 4 quadrants, of a mixture of ideas. So now we add to our definition of thinking and acting the word differently. And differently encompasses what we just explained, the idea that all of what we generate has to be in some way new to you or new to your market. In order to introduce you to our fourth component, I'd like to ask you a very short question. Have a look at these interesting ideas and ask yourselves, would you buy them? Would you pay money for these ideas, for these products? Do you think that these ideas offer real value to their consumers? Is there a market for these products? I'm guessing that most of you have probably concluded that these products, as amusing as they are not really practical. They're not going to be popular or create demand, and this highlights a question of how these ideas that we want to create in an innovation process can create real benefit for our consumers, for our customers, or for our end users. So when we add to our definition in a useful way, we're focusing on the values that these ideas can create both for you on an organizational and business level and to your customers. We're looking for ideas that create this win-win situation. The fifth and last component of our definition for innovation asks us to deal with the challenges of implementing ideas. In many cases, if you've ever had to take an idea and translate it into something real, you've probably come across questions like, do you have the necessary budget? Or do you have the necessary time? Do you have the necessary manpower and skills? Do you have the necessary knowledge? So when we add the word effective to our definition, we're focusing now on the feasibility of these ideas. How easy is it going to be to implement? Now we have our full definition: thinking and acting differently in a useful and effective way. And from now on, this is going to be our working definition throughout the whole course. So now that we have the definition for innovation, let's move on. What can we apply innovation to? Most people think that innovation is only relevant in the realm of new product development, when in fact that's not true. Innovation can actually be applied to any business challenge. It can be applied to your business model, to internal processes, to your products and services, to your distribution channels, your marketing and communication strategy, and to your research and development of technology. We at SIT say that we don't do innovation, but we innovate in what we do, because innovation doesn't answer the question what, it answers the question how. So how do you manage your strategy, your operations, your human resources, your research and development, your procurement, your logistics, your marketing and sales, and your customer service? And this how is relevant on an individual level, in your personal and professional sphere, on a team level, and on an organizational level too. So, as you can conclude, there is a lot of room for innovation in any organization. The only question is, what value do you wish to get at the end of the process that will impact your business in the best way? Many schools of thought have set out to find the sources of innovation, based on the notion that once identified, individuals and organizations will be able to innovate on demand and not just depend on haphazard events. So what are the sources of innovation? There are three approaches to the sources of innovation. One focuses on people, the second focuses on processes, and the third focuses on products. I'll elaborate now on each and every school of thought. If you belong to the people school of thought, what intrigues you is what do creative people have in common? So if, for instance, we look at people like T.S. Eliot, Albert Einstein, Igor Stravinsky, Pablo Picasso, and Sigmund Freud, what do all these incredible people have in common? Well, some research shows that what these guys have in common is the following. They all have a tolerance for ambiguity, which is the inclination to find strangeness interesting or exciting rather than frightening. They are all able to break free from assumptions about specific situations. They can imagine how objects can be used for different purposes than originally intended. They are open to the world, open to change, and prepared to bring about change. And last, they are willing to take risks and chances to depart from a sense of security. Following this school of thought, organizations should focus all their efforts on recruiting people who are proven to be creative. The challenge is, and this is kind of obvious, that Albert Einsteins don't come by so easily. But does this mean we won't innovate? Of course not. Are there ways that we can help regular people like me and you to tap their creative potential? Of course there are. And this leads us to the other school of thought. This school of thought focuses on mapping the circumstances that naturally promote creativity and recreating these circumstances in an intentional way, in a structured way within organizations. Today, you can find many methods that try to recreate those circumstances and try to foster creativity in a structured way. So let's see a few examples. One method which is very popular these days is brainstorming. I've chosen two major characteristics of brainstorming to elaborate about. The first characteristic is a focus on quantity, meaning that there is an assumption that the greater number the ideas that you can generate, the greater chance you have to produce an effective and creative solution. The second characteristic is deferring judgment, meaning that in brainstorming, criticism of ideas generated should be put on hold. Instead, participants should focus on extending or adding to ideas and reserving criticism for the last stages of the process. Another example is Edward de Bono's 6 hats. Each hat represents a different state of mind. For example, the white hat focuses on information. The red hat focuses on emotions, on intuitive and instinctive reactions. The black hat is the negative hat. It's all about logic that is applied to finding why you should be more conservative and cautious. The yellow hat is all about applying logic to identify the positive sides of ideas and seeking harmony. And the green hat is all about creativity. Now, within an innovation process, you can use all of these hats, for example, this way. You generate an idea, then you ask yourselves, how do you feel? What is good about it? What is bad about it? What do you know about it? What could be the possible solutions? And how do you feel now? So, in a way, we're asking our brain to switch between hats at each stage, and this creates, according to De Bono, a better way of tapping into people's creativity. Open innovation is not a new idea, but in recent years, thanks to social media, it has really enjoyed popularity. Basically, what open innovation is all about is collecting ideas from people and organizations which are outside the firm. It could be your business partners, your business suppliers, and it could even be your consumers. So, what do all these methods have in common? Well, they basically share one common formula. You break away from your existing thinking framework. You search for the non-conventional. You suspend judgment and criticism, and hopefully reach the creative spark. These methods are basically based on 4 key assumptions. 1. Unpredictability is the essence of creativity. 2. Ideation scope should be unrestricted. 3. Randomness should be stimulated and enhanced. And 4. A group interaction generates more ideas. In one of our future modules about our systematic approach to innovation, you will learn how we disagree with these 4 assumptions and challenge them. The last school of thought focuses on the product. In this school of thought, we ask a simple question: what do novel products have in common? We ask this question in order to find the commonalities between novel products, and we at SIT say that this question enables us to listen to the voice of the product. We believe that each product that has succeeded in the market has a story to tell us, and we're looking for patterns that reappear among these products that maybe we can use, again, to create the next generation of novel products. This school of thought is represented by a very important man named Genrich Altschuler, who was a Soviet engineer who studied hundreds of thousands of patents and tried to find these creative patterns. The outcome of Genrich Altschuler's lifelong research was a method called TRIZ, and during the 90s, systematic inventive thinking was developed derived from TRIZ and adjusted to business application. We will be elaborating a lot more about Genrich Altschuler and the origins of SIT in our next module. But what's important for you to remember today is that systematic inventive thinking is based on the assumption that novel products share patterns, and these patterns can be leveraged to create new ideas. So let's summarize. Today, I introduced you to SIT's definition for innovation, which will be our working definition throughout the course. And I would like you now to take a look at the idea you wrote down at the beginning of this class. Now let's evaluate this idea in light of the definition we provided you today. Ask yourselves if your idea is different. Is it new to you or new to your environment? Does it create a benefit for you and others? Is it feasible within the time and resources you have? Let's keep this piece of paper, this idea, throughout the course, and every time you learn something new about innovation and about systematic inventive thinking, go back to your idea and see if you can make it better. We spoke today about 3 different approaches to the sources of innovation: people, processes, and products. Throughout this course, we will be focusing on this school of thought, which focuses on the commonalities between novel products. Thank you very much for joining, and we look forward to your participation in our future modules. Goodbye.